Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you would like to support my channel, links to my children's books are available in the description below. The hobby of photography fits very well with motorcycles. The bikes themselves are beautiful and we're always seeking stunning places to ride. I'm sure many of you have as many pictures of your bike as you do your own children. In this video I'll talk about my love of photography, and although I'm not a photographer, I can give you some basic tips and talk a little about what inspires me. These same tips can be used for video work. Video is more difficult, but mastery of the following skills will lift your videos too, as many of the fundamentals remain the same. First of all, let me be clear, you don't need expensive equipment. Just the phone in your pocket with a few tips can make for brilliant pictures. A lot of people get caught up in buying equipment, but the quality of your pictures is more about your own skill and patience. No amount of good equipment can make for better images if the skill just isn't there. Much as though putting me on a superbike doesn't make me a better rider, you need those fundamental skills. What you also have to remember is many of the great photographers such as Ansel Adams or Henri Cartier-Bresson worked with cameras which were incredibly difficult to use. Unwieldy and completely manual, they took incredible skill to get the best from. For those who remember film, they will know what a lengthy process it was to get a decent image, and mistakes were often not apparent till the end of the process. Unlike the phone in your pocket, which does most of the work for you and gives you instant results. There's a YouTube channel I follow called Classic Rides, which is really outstanding photography and is a really great inspiration to me. Matt, who runs it, was a pro photographer, and this is apparent in his work. It's certainly one of the most beautiful motorcycle channels online. I find his channel very inspiring, and although I could never hope to match it, I can at least try. When you do see amazing photographers, don't be put off, and just use them as inspiration to make your pictures better. Let me first discuss some basic tips to make your images better. First of all, composition. This is how your content in an image is framed. One of the most basic rules of composition is the rule of thirds. Phone cameras will have a grid or overlay option, and it will draw a grid over the image to help you find the composition and framing. If you put a subject at the intersection of lines, it will immediately improve the composition of the image. We don't just observe an image, we draw our eyes over it as if we were reading the image. So usually you will have a key element like your bike that you want to photograph, so you want your eye to go there first. If there are too many elements drawing interest, your eye will dart across the image and not read it slowly. Your brain really enjoys beautifully composed things rather than too much visual noise. As well as the rule of thirds, there's a term called negative space. This simply means area of your picture with not a lot of interest in them. You can use these empty areas to frame your subject matter. This will draw interest to what you want people to look at and generally make your image better and more pleasing to the eye. This is what art galleries do when they're hanging paintings. They put a lot of space around them with white walls. It encourages you to be drawn to the artwork without distractions. Again, this pleases your brain as it enjoys the key areas of detail. Golden hour. You will note a lot of my videos are set during golden hour, and this is deliberate. The filmmaker Terrence Malick set all his films during golden hour, and this made filmmaking a slow and painful process but led to a beautiful result. Golden hour is not actually sunset but the hour before sunset. The sun is lower in the sky, so it leads to beautiful long shadows and everything is bathed in golden light. Because the sun is lower, it creates a graduated light across your subjects. Most car manufacturers shoot pics of their car at golden hour for this reason. It enhances the shapes and forms and looks beautiful. Try to avoid midday with your pics as the sun is harsh and directly overhead, so the shadows are small and the contrasts are harsh. You can get a clip-on ND filter for your phone. These are cheap and available on Amazon. In outdoors photography, even on a grey day, the sky is always significantly brighter than the ground and your camera will fight with it. This leaves the sky in your images too bright and the ground too dark. It then loses detail in both. The ND filter acts not unlike sunglasses and balances the lighting of both. It will save a lot of work later in editing. Instead of trying to think of taking pictures, try to think of capturing light. Photography is the art of capturing light, and you should always be mindful of where the light source is. Try to avoid the sun behind your subject. This will lead to your bike being silhouetted and the detail in it will be lost. The bright sun behind will also bleach out the sky, so always try to take a pic with the sun behind you at an angle. We angle the light source, as then you get what is called a tonal range, also known as shading, which will enhance the curves and shapes of your bike and make it look loads better. You don't need to buy expensive lighting equipment, as you can do most of it outside and use your own creativity and ingenuity instead. In the original Terminator movie, they blew the lighting budget on special effects, so had to find a creative solution. James Cameron would drive around at night looking for a certain kind of industrial lighting and film illegally. This gave the film its recognisable, unique blue look, which helped convey the cold industrial feeling of the robots. As you ride around, keep an eye out for places with interesting light. You can find these easily, as your eye will always be naturally drawn to them. Of course, working outside, you don't get much of a chance to control the light that's available that day. On a cloudy day, the sun is diffused by the clouds and you get a very flat, boring grey lighting, which British people are very familiar with. It's not very visually interesting and makes for boring images. If you're stuck for good lighting, look for artificial light sources that can bounce off your bike. Say for example, the lit windows of a shop, and let the light source flow across your bike, picking out the details. As your skills improve, you can start pushing things and getting creative. For example, maybe the light is dull and flat and the sky is grey. Use this to your advantage and think creatively how you can make the best of it. If the light isn't great, focus on creating a mood with it. Go for that drab day atmosphere instead. This sort of creativity is a big part of the fun, trying to come up with ways of making a good image despite the conditions. Always try and think about atmosphere. Rain on the ground creates wonderful reflections. Fog and mist add depth. Even parking your bike next to a steam vent will add a lot to it. Adding a bit of atmosphere prevents images seeming flat and boring. Why do you think live bands love a smoke machine? Black and white is a great place to practice. It teaches you about light far quicker, as your pics are only focused on the light and dark. Any photography course will often start you on black and white for this reason, as it's easier to learn. Restriction breeds creativity, and many use black and white to create detailed and atmospheric images. Mood. You should always try to incorporate mood into your pictures. For example, there's a certain mood comes with autumn. You can incorporate the colours of the leaves and the environment. A summer's day has a very different mood to a rainy day. Often summer doesn't allow for nearly as nice a mood as bad weather. You want the viewer to feel the image, not just view it. This makes images much more compelling. A stable platform is critical. Although most phones have image stabilization, it's never as sharp or nice as finding a stable place to put your phone. A fence post, a wall, a shelf will make your image far crisper. This means you also have less duff, blurry images, and it's likely you will get far better shots. If you don't have a tripod or a place to rest it, then hold your phone with both hands securely. Hold your breath and set a short timer so you don't have to push any buttons and move the phone. Try to keep it as steady as you can. Don't rush yourself. Photography is as much about patience as it is anything else. Taking your time to think about your image will make for a far better picture. Be sure to always take a few shots, and then you can review them later and find the best amongst them. Try to avoid filters. They're kinda cheap and look naff. It's far better to take some time and learn how you can edit a pic yourself for best effect. You can always boost shadows, pick out details, or adjust highlights to really make your bike pop. It will lead to your own images having a certain look rather than what everyone else has. I would avoid AI too for the same reasons. If your image has something ruining it, you can use AI to remove it, but ideally the pic should be as good as possible from the outset. As you get more skilled, you will need ever less editing after the fact. Shoot in RAW mode if your phone allows it. Normally cameras on phones shoot in a compressed format which reduces the quality. Ideally, by shooting in RAW you get an original undamaged image you can adjust later. RAW formats let you fiddle with more settings and are far easy to work with later. There's a lot of good software you can use to access the extra features while editing in RAW. Darktable and RAW Therapy are free RAW image editors. Snapseed and Photopea are free beginner-friendly apps. If you want to pay, Adobe Lightroom comes part of the Adobe suite, and there's also alternative software like Zoner Photo or Affinity Photo, which is a one-time payment and are decent alternatives to Lightroom. Take a lot of pics. Most pro photographers take thousands and then will just pick the image that they like. With every pic you can take, you learn more and get better, so the key is lots of practice. It's likely the image you see finally is the result of 1,000 other images you will never see. The more you take, the more your eye will learn to recognise what is good and bad. Learn about the manual settings on your phone. They do a good job on auto, but you can make your images considerably better with just tweaking minor settings. Minor tweaks at this stage can considerably improve your image, as your phone has no real idea what you're trying to do and is just making a best guess. You will know your own photography has reached a certain level when you start to find the limits on your phone. Even a modestly priced camera will massively exceed your phone. However, it's better to find the limits on your phone and understand how it works before you make the expensive outlay for a camera. Megapixels often get touted around, but these are really irrelevant. Often people make the mistake of thinking more are better, but a good pro with an older camera will take way better images than an amateur. Cameras are continually getting upgraded, but to be honest, a good second-hand one from a few years ago will far outdo the latest model if the user knows what they are doing. Many amateurs spend thousands and don't even know what half the buttons do. Sensor size and lens quality matters more than megapixels. Bigger sensors can absorb more light, and nicer lenses let more light pass through them. Cameras on phones use software to fudge the effect, and while still plenty good for your average person, as you develop your skill set you will start to notice a difference. This is especially apparent in poor low light conditions. Phones will really struggle in low light and use a wealth of software tricks to essentially make up the image. I myself am by no means a good photographer, but these tips are incredibly useful and give you a good starting point to massively improve your own pictures. It's also worth having a little Google and looking at really good photography. One of my all-time favourite photographers was Josef Sudek. Born on the 17th of March 1896, he was a Czech photographer, best known for his photographs of Prague. Despite having incredibly basic equipment by today's standard, he produced images full of mood, atmosphere and emotion. He lost his arm in World War I and managed to continue doing his photography despite Nazi occupation. However, in this he gave us some absolutely beautiful images that capture light and life in a way few could. His work has a peace and a silence to it. It's rich in atmosphere and focuses on quiet moments. I'm sure you may have seen his work and perhaps not realised. If you get a chance, please look him up. I always find him very inspiring. I love how his images have the ability to quiet your mind. If you ever think photography is too hard, think of Josef Sudek and how he managed to create such astonishing beauty on an old large plate camera with one arm whilst being watched by Nazis. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has inspired you to take better pictures. Please like and subscribe, and bye bye!